All right, welcome back, John from Jerusalem. Just real quick, just say again your name and what you do.
I'm John Medved. I'm the founder and CEO of our crowd.
Well, welcome back. John, you got an interesting background to say the least. Berkeley education, history, sales and marketing, and optical communications, software, and now the investment arena for sure. Can you share with us how that and you have evolved in your career, and are you at the point where this is what I always wanted to do when I grow up?
Pretty much. I'm not grown up yet.
It's a good sign.
We're still working on it. And what I'm doing now at our crowd is sort of combining three deep loves that I've got. One is I love being an entrepreneur. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've built a whole slew of companies, from fiber optics to software to mobile applications. Had success with them, and I was a venture capitalist. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so that's what I like doing. And now we're innovating in the financial tech arena. What's called fintech,
Right.
and we're a leader, worldwide, really, in equity crowdfunding. So that's fun, very entrepreneurial. Running with the young dogs, I enjoy it. Second thing I like to do is I like to be an investor. I was a venture capitalist, built my own fund called Israel Seed Partners for over a decade. I've been an angel investor in dozens of companies apart from that. So now I'm able to do investing on a grand scale. At our crowd, we've invested in over 100 different new companies. So I think it brings my total as an individual up to almost 200 companies. And I get to essentially feed my deal addiction. I guess if this was a 12-step program, I'd say I'm a deal junkie. Okay, and I get to really, get my fix here in a major way. And the third area of love that combines here is my love of Israel and where I live. I moved to Israel about 36 years ago from the U.S. I still love the U.S. very much. I'm still a U.S. citizen, taxpayer. But on the other hand, I'm very passionate about the city I live in, Jerusalem, and the country I live in, Israel. And because our crowd is headquartered here, and right now the majority of the companies we invest in are Israeli companies, I'm to a large degree marketing Israel to a very interested world who is looking for another source of innovation beyond Silicon Valley, and we get that. So, mixing up the Israel, the investment side, and the entrepreneurial side, I'm keeping it real and quite happy with what's going on.
Yeah, I think I may have told you my son just came back about a month and a half ago from Birthright, one of three sons, and came back exploding with enthusiasm, not surprisingly. So that was great. And you talk about Israel, Technion in Israel, technology overall, it's one of the most productive contributors of innovation, medical, security, overall technology. Not to flatter you, but you've been described in the Washington Post as one of Israel's leading high-tech venture capitalists. New York Times, one of the top 10 most influential Americans who have impacted Israel. What does it feel like? What's the responsibility? What's the fulfillment of being a conduit, if you will, for both investment and opportunities which are clearly making a difference, not just being companies?
There's a lot of responsibility. Okay, I was just drafting, together with some my associates, a letter to shareholders about a not successful investment outcome we've had. And you sit there and it's easy to celebrate the successes.
Right.
We've had 6 exits that we've announced so far, 6 companies that have exited our platform successfully. And now we have, what's going to happen when you have 100 investments is we've got some pretty, painful losses. And when you sit there and you write a letter to an investor who trusted you, who followed your lead, you worked like a dog to make it successful. The entrepreneurs did. In this case, the company still lives and will go on to fight another day. But, through a variety of transactions, we've eroded investor value in this one case by 90%. So if you put in $100,000, you're down to $10,000. Now, that's tough. and that makes you, question, well, did I do the right thing? What should I have done differently? The good news about our business, both our crowd and the business in general of startup investing, is you have to take a portfolio approach.
Right.
And you got to realize that in 100 companies, we're going to have dozens of losses.
Right.
And that's why our investors are cautioned and advised to not try to just pick one or two. So, you might be the brightest guy in the block, but if you try to pick one or two really risky high-tech investments, the odds are you're going to probably lose money. And therefore, even if you do it on my site, and that means you've got to try to do 10 or 15 or 20 of these little guys. And the preponderance of the, diversification effect, if you will, of having a portfolio is going to really benefit. And so if you look at how we're doing overall on our portfolio, quite well. Right now, the numbers I saw are approaching, 20% IRR, which is an internal rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a lot better than the 2% if you're lucky, in a bank account. But that adheres to a portfolio. And so you realize the responsibility that you have, which is, I think, very, very significant. And what we are trying to do in our, we're managing, and yet we're giving users discretion, right? In other words, we're putting up a curated
right.
group of companies where individuals can choose among them and decide, I like this one, I don't like that one. We have responsibility for the overall platform, but the users are involved in terms of making their own decision and creating additional, choices for themselves. But I take this stuff pretty seriously, and when we lose, I hate losing. Okay, I really like winning, and I'm hoping that the overall results will be certainly in the win column, God willing.
Yeah, no, I think you described it perfectly. I work with a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures, etc. And as I mentioned, you're also working with companies to invest in and people to invest in that are truly making a difference. It's not just making a product for the sake of making a product. They're doing a lot of innovative medical security, as I said, that are making a difference. With respect to that, what are the challenges of not only just showing an investment like that to potential investors, but you're talking to people from different cultures, different rules and regulations, different thought processes and likes and dislikes. Describe that, what that's like.
It's great to be ADD.
Good answer.
This morning I spoke to a group of Brazilian investors. Yesterday I had a delegation from China.
There you go.
I'm sending one of my people today to Bulgaria. We have, a huge group of Chinese investors in country. I mean, it's just every moment we're going from, last night I did an interview on, CNBC. I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing letters this way. I sat with a friend of mine an hour ago to discuss his portfolio. He's a venture capitalist and reviewing 15 of his companies and feeling bad about missing this investment and feeling glad that I missed that one.
Exactly.
It's it keeps you on your toes. Okay, this is very fast moving. I've got 100 people working for me now,
right?
And a bunch of direct reports, and it's challenging. Our business is in a really interesting area, crowdfunding. Just the yesterday, Title III went online, which is the new way for even non-accredited investors, and so we're trying to figure our way through this, and where we're going to play and how we're going to play and what our strategy is. So it's welcome to my life. I mean, and it's a good life. I have no complaints. I've been very blessed with a good family, great wife, who I love for over 3 decades, and great kids, and a great country, and a very challenging job. And every morning I come to work, and usually without enough sleep, but nothing that a couple of good cups of dripped coffee won't solve. And then I tackle these challenges in the best way that I know how. And the best way, in my opinion, is getting the right people to join you. In the entrepreneurial business, it's all about who your partners are and who the team is that you're building. And I'm focusing a lot on how to strengthen our already pretty strong team, and how to bring on the right people who can help us take us to the next level.
Well, and that's right in line, obviously, with our business, too. It's all about people. With our clients, they want the people that are the right fit, not only qualifications, but the right fit. And how do you do, then, due diligence with respect to the right leaders of a new entrepreneurial business, and not only the product, but and defining and assessing by your due diligence that it's the right company to invest in and to present to your investors?
Well, it depends where you're doing the diligence. If you're part of an ecosystem as tightly knit as we are here in Israel, it becomes actually a lot easier to diligence people because everybody knows each other.
Right.
If you pee in this pond, people will see it. Okay. So we can pretty much avoid the jerks, and that I think that's the first step. Is you just don't want to do business with people who are not ethical, who don't listen, who are not cooperative, who don't take advice, okay, who are lazy. There are a bunch of sort of blackball personal qualities that are the first part of any diligence process. And once you've established that you've got the right kind of people, and for us, the right kind of not just none of those negatives, but people who are brilliant, who are passionate, who are charismatic, who can sell, who have deep technical knowledge or product knowledge in a growing important market. Then we look at who they've managed to put around them as a team. That's usually the most critical element: is do they have the right board members, the right partners in terms of the marketing and the technology and the distribution. And then we look at their customers. We're very concerned with what we call traction. Mm-hmm. We want the company to actually be growing and building before we get there. We don't believe that venture capital is sort of like an instant presto toy where you sprinkle some money, i.e. water, on it and then it just instantly grows. This is about hard work that starts and hopefully continues through our investment in the process. So, we look at those things. We look at competition. We look at, intellectual property and what kind of protection. And most importantly, we're looking at, can this team grow in an absolutely huge market? Because, for us, the business is about a towering return. We need, a couple of our companies out of the 100 or the hundreds to come to be really spectacular, and we're hoping and looking for that special spark all the time.
Yeah, and one you certainly got, not to shout out just for Audrey Jacobs. You got a star there here in Southern California.
Amen to that. God bless Audrey.
Yeah, you bet. So, what would be your advice for up and coming leaders? You meet a lot. I meet a lot. They're coming out of college. They're starting new, and they want to be entrepreneurs. What's your advice?
Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Find great people to work with. If you don't like your job, get another one. There's lots of good work out there. Find people like yourself who can help them do that. Realize that there's a finite amount of time in your life to build a network of personal connections, and everybody you meet is valuable at one point or another. Don't piss people off. Don't be a jerk. If you really behave badly, that's going to come back and bite you someday. You can't really, in this global world, you can't leave town and start anew, okay, because everybody's connected.
Amen.
So behave yourself and dream, okay? In other words, don't take what you've got for granted. Go make better or build it or enjoy it, which is probably the best part.
Yeah, great advice. Couple little personal questions, not too personal, just to get to know you. Do you have a pet?
Dogs, Max and Harley.
Oh, we have a Harley also, actually. The Harley Davidson is his old name.
That's it. We got one. He's a lab. Actually, ours is white. Not black. You would think a Harley Davidson should be, in black leather, but we got two dogs and we love them dearly.
It's all about differentiation, even in the dog world. Do you have a favorite activity or sport?
Hiking and fishing. I like both of them. I like adventure travel, getting off the grid as far away as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember years and years ago, my first time to Israel, snake path up Masada. That was a pretty good
That'll
hike.
do it. That's a hike. That'll get your heartbeat going.
Yeah, no kidding. It was dark at night, late at night, and it actually turned into an incredible experience. There's some other international kids who we had met, and this gal from Portugal pulled out a flute while the sun was rising. It was like holy cow.
I'm there with you that Mo.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Look, I'm fond of The Americans right now as that TV series. I find the drama there and just sort of riveting. I really like it. And like everybody, I'm wondering what happened to Jon Snow.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe we'll find out. How about a favorite book? Or
I like a lot of books. I still read. I'm a Sabbath observer, traditional, observer of Torah law and Judaism. So from Friday night to Saturday night, there's no TV, no internet, no phone. So me and my kids and wife, we do a lot of reading. We read during the week too, but usually I can almost knock a book off over Shabbat. And I love a lot of books. I like just read a cool science fiction called Saturn, which is very fun about his first. I'm obsessed lately with First Contact. I'm reading a lot of science fiction. I like reading, about politics and nonfiction, and I really like Gabriel Alone in the series of Israeli spy novels. By Daniel Silva, and I like Michael Connolly, and I read junk and I read classy stuff, and I even, believe it or not, read the paper. One of the few people actually, again because of Sabbath, get a physical paper on that weekend and use it well.
Well, I must admit, I read the paper too. So, I think God knew what he was doing. He knew when the technology was coming and we needed a break for Shabbat. And so he knew way ahead of time what was going on.
By the way, I would be long dead without it.
I heard a great
notion of having a 24-hour or 25-hour, in our case, recharge is really kept me alive.
I heard a great quote the other day. He said, "A stack of books is way better than a list of books."
I like holding books. It's possible that the Jewish people are the last holds of Shabbat with books, but there's something about the binding, about the paper quality. And yes, I use e-readers. Yes, I'm technically savvy, but there's something about books that still speaks to me.
Well, there's a feeling. There's that special thing that that it hits you. What about music and food?
The more, the better.
That's the best answer I've had. All of the above, right?
Are you kidding? Israel is a food powerhouse.
Yes.
I look at my rather corpulent body and I realize that right section is a bunch of hummus and the left section is a bunch of shawarma, and maybe what little muscle I've got is a result of good salads. But I'm a lover of food, love Mediterranean food, and love the cookbooks of Ottolenghi. I mean, more accurately, I love it when my wife makes recipes from the cookbooks of Ottolenghi. I'm a love and music. All that I grew up on the Stones and the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Penchant for
Yeah, great stuff. Hey, thanks so much for sharing all that.
A pleasure.